I think the campus conversations, and especially in a center, really began at the end of the first week of March, where we started to think about what if scenarios. Now, what if there's a public health crisis? And what if this means that we have to make a short-term transition, so that by the second week of March, we started to think with a higher degree of intentionality about what teaching and learning could look like online. And we thought about this being potentially a couple of weeks. And we did also think, well, what if it would be for an entire semester? So we began thinking in the center, what would it be like to have the resources and the time commitments set aside to help bring about 4,000 classes and 12,000 students and 1,500 faculty up to speed. We have a lot of faculty here who are truly magnificent in the classroom. And one of the things that they're legendary for is the communication that they have with the student. And so we began to think early on, how do we help our faculty keep that? Because that's a big part of the reason why our students come to the university, because they connect with the faculty who really care about and are dedicated to their educational success. Something that I'm really incredibly proud of here is that a number of faculty reached out to the students developing a what-if scenario. What's it going to be like for you to be able to successfully complete this semester as human beings experiencing the same critical moment in history together?
So we talked to our students about the possibility of being out longer than those 2 days and asked them to take their instruments with them for spring break, as some of them might not have. Then when we found out that we were indeed going to be out longer, we needed to address issues such as pianos for students who didn't have access. We purchased some keyboards and sent them to their homes so that the students have those to use for the time being. So there was a lot of scrambling within the first week or so to make sure that students had access to everything that they needed to complete their courses.
One of the best innovations that a lot of faculty discovered on their own, they started to develop creative ways to provide content and information and experiences for the students to occur outside of class. So this way, when they would have a synchronous session, it wasn't a lecture, but it was a conversation.
This is literally a learn by doing course, except for the fact that there is the modeling component, which is what ecosystem scientists do. You collect a lot of information, you learn how a system works, and you build what we call process-based models, which represent the mechanisms. So they're not statistical. They're based on how things work. And this was where it was going to be. They were going to come and collect some things that we call validation for models. So they run the model, they see if it represents reality. But now I'm basically giving them that starter information, and they're still being able to simulate the system.
I'm doing research on chemically modified DNA, and in terms of teaching, I'm teaching medicinal chemistry, DNA chemistry, organic chemistry. So the timeline for transitioning into online teaching, first it was 1 or 2 days, and then for the rest of the semester. So using the resources that CEDL provides, I started reading some background literature, what one should do. I opted for an asynchronous, synchronous teaching. So I started developing that during spring break to be ready to teach classes Tuesday after spring break and have all of the material recorded.
I would be able to point to a number of people in every college on campus that has done something like that, where they use the time in between class sessions for learning to occur and for lecture to occur. But the time inside of class was dedicated to conversation and discussion, where the students could show what they know, they could demonstrate their learning, but they could also connect, which was critically important. One of the biggest challenges was realizing that there was no time or opportunity to really take a deep breath and say, okay, good, we found our rhythm, because we're innovating in real time. So we went from making an immediate transition to really trying to then create a foundation for really significant learning experiences to occur. I think our faculty have really risen to the occasion. The confidence and the competence of the faculty to teach online has gone up. So I think that when we look to the future, we hope to never have another semester like this. But we hope that we could plan and support faculty in designing and developing really good, strong, engaged online courses and programs in the future.